What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Halos. I'm your host today, Jared Timms, and I am joined alongside my co-host, my partner in crime, Nate Green. Nate, how you doing?
Doing well, Jared. Angels look good so far. It's
Whoa,
good.
whoa, what? What? I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
have to
know.
put that on a t-shirt. Angels are
Ah,
looking good so
it's
far. Nate
early.
Green, huh?
It's early. We'll see how they look against Castillo tonight. This will be a big test for them facing a real dude.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think so too. And if I apologize, I'm looking up watching. I got Salt Lake Bees on here too, so gonna not give play by play, but something happens, I'll throw it out there to you, Nate. As we are going to talk a little bit of minor leagues since the rosters came out all the way around for the Angels today and to I guess yesterday, really. It's very similar to what we saw, but some interesting names. We'll bring it up. We'll talk about it. The first thing I wanted to know, though, we can go back to the major league team before we talk about a little bit of minor leagues. Are you worried about the Angels bullpen right now? Did you know I was going to ask this? We didn't talk about what we were going
No,
to talk
but
about when it's minor leagues.
have I been worried about the Angels bullpen for
Well, no. I'm not
the
talking about
whole off
bullpen.
season?
So I
Yeah.
should have phrased this question a lot better. How about, are you worried about how the Angels are using their bullpen, and more so in certain situations, and even
Yeah.
more so with all the lefties?
Yeah, I mean, three lefties makes it hard, especially when two of them are legit left on left guys. Quijada and Loop are really lefty specialist guys. Not really. Moore is one of those guys who can get lefties and righties out, big spots type of thing. But yeah, it's definitely an issue, especially once you get late in the game and you used like last night they used to pair early and it was like, okay, what righties do we have left? It's like, well, we can go to Herget the eighth, and I guess Esteves in the ninth. But like, if something bad happens, Berea's backing him up. I don't know. It worked out for them. The Angels got the win. Who cares? But um, it it is interesting to hear them talk about when the platoons and wanting to be a super analytical team and do things backwards. So I don't know if this is Phil Nevin's gut, if this is miscommunication from the higher ups, if this is the way they're doing things. I don't know, but the bullpen is scary, and I've talked about it the entire time that the bullpen is scary. So I think you're pretty much on the same page as me.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm worried about the situational moves that the Angels make. I'm not necessarily worried. I'm not necessarily worried about the guys, but like we've talked about numerous of times on this podcast, putting the right guys in the right spots. And we were texting each other during the game last night, and it was like, why is that guy? Why is that guy? Granted, like we're early in the season. We're early in the season, first off, and second off, they had to use a lot of bullpen there.
I was shocked that Tapera only was asked to get one out. And I'm not the biggest Ryan Tapera guy, you know that, but like
right situation there though, right? Like that's where we would like to hopefully
use him to finish the fifth and then not ask him to go out there in the sixth. It was like
right situation though. If you leave him back out, let him go back out there. It's like lower leverage, not high leverage late in the game. The score is still close, yes, but it's not like
eighth inning.
It's not the eighth inning of a one-run game like they brought Lupin and on opening day or anything like that. Yeah, and both those guys, they didn't do that with them. So I thought right spot. I think we're going to be pretty kind of critical about bullpen usage itself.
A lot of things, but it's okay.
I mean, come on, just
keep winning games and it'll be fine. Just keep.
That's winning. Oh yeah, no. If the Angels keep winning games, we're not going to probably talk about it all that much, though. We did bring up the some of the issues that we saw last year when the Angels were playing good baseball at the beginning of the season, and I'm sure we will if we continue to see them here early as well. But they do face an ace tonight for an ace, so it'll be interesting. You already mentioned.
Yes, that's the big thing for me is, can you hit an ace? If you want to win playoff games, you got to be able to hit aces. You got to be able to win close games, and that's kind of been my harp so far this year. It's like everyone wanted to be like, oh well, the Angels didn't score enough runs against the A's. It's like, who cares? Paying the guy $8.5 million, get the freaking job done. But yeah, let's talk about the prospects. I'm excited about some guys. I know you know who my favorite guys are. You do. You already know who my favorite guys are, which I've been
Sometimes.
on the train for a couple of these guys with a couple of these guys for a while, but um, one of them I think I'm a little bit more hyped than some other people, but it's okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull up Rock. The only team that didn't post on social media, they posted as a link on social media, is Tri City. So I'm trying to pull them up, be slightly more prepared. Obviously, I should have done this before the podcast, but we can start in Inland Empire, and I'll let you kind of.
I thought Tri City posted on Twitter.
They posted as a. I'll look it. I'll look around. I'm sure I can.
I
I
swear I
will
saw
find
Tri
their
City.
roster. I didn't get it. I have their roster right here. But we can start. We can start with Inland Empire, team that I'm sure a lot of our fans here at Talking Halos will probably go and see at some point. Nothing too crazy catching wise. I'm gonna be honest here with you, and I apologize about the dogs. Infield wise, I got Denzer Guzman. Nate, talk about Denzer for me.
I am a big fan of Denzer Guzman. I got to see him last year up close and personal, and he was a lot of fun to watch. You could just tell he looked different. He looked special. He was bigger, more physical, mature for a young kid. He's 18, about to be 19, and just super smooth defensively. My one thing with him, and I hope Marcus Timms really got to work with him at some point, because my big thing with him was, can he be on time to the fastball? Like, his swing was good, everything looked good. He just wasn't on time, and that's my big thing with hitters is like, if you're on time to the fastball, you can play in the major leagues. If you're not on time to the fastball, it is going to be rough for you in the major leagues. And I mean, I think you even heard it from Joey Votto in the Field of Dreams games last year. Like, he goes, if you want to be good in the major leagues, you got to be on time to the fastball. And so if Guzman is on time to the fastball, he will not be in low A very long. So if you would like to see this kid, you got to go early, because if this guy's on time to the fastball, he is going to absolutely tear that league apart. And I think if Neto gets moved up at some point, either if he gets the call to AAA or maybe in the major leagues, depending on where the Angels are at and what their needs are, I think Guzman's the guy who could get that call to AA, especially if he's raking out of his mind like I think he can. So I love Denzer Guzman. I think he could have been a little higher on your list, honestly, but
Yeah,
because Jared's list did come out last night, by the way.
it did. Go talkinghalos.com. You can check it out there. Yes,
point.
with that being, I got talked out of. I had him at 3. I got talked out of putting him at 3. I'm going to be honest there with you. So it wasn't.
Could have put him at 4, but whatever. I think you had him 6th.
Yeah, in that range, in that 6th area.
Yep.
But not time to talk about that. I want to talk rosters. Nelson Rada, go. This kid. I don't think I've been this hyped out of somebody coming out of the islands for quite a while. Just hearing who
I would have said you were super hyped about well, I guess Mayaton wasn't too long ago, a little bit.
you
but
can't he was straight over. I mean,
I was gonna say Errol
yeah.
Vera was the other guy that I was thinking that you were pretty hyped on, but
as a 16-year-old was the best hitter in the Dominican League last year.
Yeah.
16. I know you don't take much into what they do there. It's very, very much so high school, but
it is
very much so. I got to keep an eye on the fact that he's 17 years old and already in low A. I mean, the Angels are progressing this minor league system like crazy, and it's really fun to see it. And for me, I love it, especially being that I love watching the minor leagues and dropping the top prospect list. Go check out Nelson Rada. Jorge Ruiz.
But I think you have to do that. You have to start being a little bit more aggressive with the new rules, like with the rules that say you get extra draft picks if your guys win Rookie of the Year, you guys win all these things. Like, I think you have to be more aggressive, because the later you wait, the longer it takes for you guys to get those extra draft picks and things like that. And it's not even just draft picks. It's like, you want to win. You have Shohei Ohtani on the team right now. You've got to win in order to keep him here. And if some of these kids are like borderline ready, you got to make sure that they have a shot to help. Because as we're seeing with Logan O'Hoppy's getting a chance, and he's taking everything he possibly can with it right now. And I don't know if he's going to give the job back. And that's kind of what you're hoping for all these young guys, is to get a chance and then to just run with it. So we're super excited to see that, and I think that's why you're seeing some of these young guys getting pushed. Like Tucker Flint was a what sixth, seventh rounder, eighth rounder.
Settle down. We'll talk
get to
about
him.
Rocket City. We'll talk about Rocket City
I was
shortly.
excited about Tucker Flint too. I'm sorry.
I know. Let's stick on to Let's stick on to Inland Empire here. Outfield wise, Nelson Rada, keep an eye on him. Jorge Ruiz, scrappy, switch left-handed hitter. Sorry, not switch hitter. He might bat 350 there. I'm gonna let you know. I know you don't take too much stock into that, but he's very, very interesting. He is just a good pure hitter all the way around. And then Yadiel Sanchez, who was in the Noah Syndergaard trade, another guy to keep an eye on there. And then pitching wise, this is where things I think kind of get a lot more fun for the Angels, especially with the way that they've progressed. I don't want to go over this entire list, but Nate, you got a guy or two, and I swear to God, if you take my one guy that I'm looking at right now and talk about him, go ahead.
I hope I'm not taking the guy that you want to talk about, but I mean, anytime you overpay for a kid, drafted as late as he was, Caden Dana, I think
we got both those guys there right now. You got Mason Albright, who was the year before that. They paid 1.12, and then Caden Dana, who did the same thing the year after that. So
yeah, I just like Dana's build a little bit more. 6'4", 215-pound righty, mid nines, might be able to touch upper nines here shortly. Yeah.
Sink, good curveball.
Sink and everything. It's fun. I think he has a chance to be one of those fast risers that you see out of the pitchers. Yeah, that's the guy that excites me. I know you and I have talked about this. We're like, who could get the opening day start for these guys, and that's one of the guys that got mentioned. I don't think he's getting the start. I think that you're gonna pick the opening day starter, and I hope I left him for you.
That wasn't the guy. We saw the guy that I like to bring up.
We did. Okay.
We saw him, so he was there before. But Jake Madden, of course. I mean, that's I think the guy who's probably gonna get the opening. The guy who's getting the opening day nod there. Gonna be interesting to see what he does. I'm excited. I'm excited to finally actually see him pitch, live in person on TV, whatever you want to say. See what he brings to the table, because I mean that's a guy that I did the same thing with Caden Dana last year, not Casey's brother, but Caden Dana last year. Saw him in the first inning. I was like, he's gonna be pushed up on my prospect list. Like you can tell right away there were certain guys. Victor Medeiros, who's in AA, was another one of those guys. Saw him in Tri-City, and it was like, yep. Well, let's keep an eye on this guy. So I think
said we couldn't bring up other teams.
Oh, I'm just letting you know that's how I felt about it. That's how I felt about this. With Dana, and I think Madden's going to be the same way. But the guy that I was hoping you weren't going to take, Max Gig, that was fun to watch.
And he was a lot of fun to watch. He throws really hard. He's got good stuff. Reliever, I had to go starter just because. Yeah, no, that's who's going to get a lot of the love. Like, the reliever is going to be fun, but Caden Dana, like he could push real fast. Like he's the type of guy where I think Victor Medeiros got moved super quickly last year. It was like, one outing, and it was like, oh my gosh, this guy's like, he's going to be in the big leagues in a year and a half. Like that's what the org started talking about. And I think Dana could be very similar, where like he could have a special year this year and end up in AA and possibly, have a chance at making a roster spot here in the next year and a half to 2 years.
Dana, very similar to Kahanowitz, who I really liked coming out of the draft. I was hoping the Angels were going to draft him. Obviously hasn't progressed. He's going to be in Tri-City this year, but very similar to that. I'd feel remiss if we didn't mention Walbert Urena. I feel like,
that's who I thought you were going to talk about, honestly.
Well, I mean, when you're chucking, upper nines, hitting triple digits, the command's not quite there, and you got 2 extra pitches. I forget which one's the better one. I want to say the changeup's better, but when you're hearing, and if I get a text message about this from somebody, when you're getting text messages saying this guy kind of reminds me of Luis Castillo. Yep. There's something there. You got to kind of pay attention to it. So obviously Walbert Urania is another one of those.
I thought there was a chance he was going to get the opening day nod just because of the prospect hype and everything. But yeah, Madden, Dana, Albright, you're going to see a bunch of really good pitching in low A. So that's going to be a lot of fun if you guys can make it out there.
Yep, absolutely. And then we can move on to Tri-City here. Pitching wise, as I'm going down it, I have to talk about Kelvin Caceres if I don't talk about him enough. Love the guy. Nate, you gotta love him too. I mean, mid
Oh,
to
I
upper
do. I
nines,
do. That was like the
disgusting
first name I
curveball.
saw, and I was like, "Ooh, he's here. Okay, that's fun."
Yeah, Jack Kahanowicz is there. It'll be interesting to
Mhm.
see. Robinson Pena is a sleeper for me. Found his way to AAA last year. Low to mid 90s fastball with sink. Pretty good curveball. Good splitter as well. Misses a lot of bats. I'm just intrigued. I want to know what goes on there. John Swanda, another guy who's been in the ARG for quite some time, who just continues to stick around, and I still want to know what he is. And then continue to move on. You know who really was impressive? And Taylor Blake Ward put out an article, and there were a couple of mentions of this. Osmi Gregorio.
Mm.
Very
Yes,
impressed by him this spring.
he had some
Mhm.
key ABs in spring where it was like, "Who is this kid?"
Yep.
Like,
You got some other guys like Adrian
plus,
Placencia who's working in Tri City. Errol
Vero.
Vergo, I'm surprised they're putting in Tri City with the way he didn't hit last year, and you're going to put him in a spot that most hitters don't succeed anyways. We'll kind of see
I
how
thought
that
both those guys were interesting to throw in high A. Like,
it depends on where you're moving guys. Like I might have kept them down in low A and then moved them up to double A just to keep them away, but I get why you got to move some of those guys into high A.
I thought I would have kept one in low A and moved one up. And I don't mind Placencia moving up just because he had some success. Like, wasn't crazy with everything, but like he was a very good low A player, and I thought he made sense to move up. Arrow Vera, I probably would have kept him down and just said, "Hey, you're probably going to play some second, some third, some short, and move him and Guzman and Blakely around because Blakely's still there, right?"
Blakely's starting on the IL. He should be
Okay.
there. I believe.
Very short. He won't be there that long though. Like,
No.
I
He
would
might go
assume
straight up.
Blakely's
He
there.
might go straight up to double A once he's
It's possible.
healthy.
So it
So
would have made sense to leave Vera in low A and just be like, "Hey, prove you can hit, and then we'll move you up to high A with Placencia." But it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, he can do something with like Kyron Parrish did, where he just figures it out. And honestly, the big thing with all these guys, especially in the minor leagues that we saw last year, was you got to be on time to the fastball, and that is the big difference with the swing philosophy with Marcus Timms and all the Marlins guys coming over. Is you got to be on time to the fastball. You're seeing that a little bit here in the big leagues. And if some of these prospects can get on time to the fastball, it is going to be very fun. Like Errol Vera's got the tools to be very, very good. His
um,
swing, I know you say his swing is like Taylor Ward.
yeah.
Yeah, I know what you say.
I'm also
And
getting a
so
lot of good t-shirt ideas for you. So keep talking. I'm gonna keep throwing them in my head.
he has a shot to be good if these guys can continue to figure it out. Like, they have some guys up the middle that could be pretty fun, and I don't think he sticks at short. I think he'll probably move to third, get a little bigger, things like that. But like, yeah, if he can get on that Kyron Parrish role and just prove that he can hit, maybe the average isn't as high as you want it to be, but like his WRC plus is 115, 120. He finds himself in double A. There's some good things to be had with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we move to the outfield here, not huge surprises. Deshaun Knowles is still there again.
Yep.
Alexander Ramirez is there. Watch out and see what he can do.
He's got some raw power.
If you see him on the right day, you say, why is this guy not the number one
Yes.
prospect in Angels org?
Oh, yes.
If you see him on a bad day, it's
He
like,
is.
we don't have to talk about him.
I've seen that guy 4 times, and I swear every single time my opinion on him changes. The first time it was like, this guy could be a superstar.
Now you
And
know
then
how
the
I
next
feel
time it
when we
was
talk
like,
about Sam Bachman, right? It's the
yeah.
exact same thing.
And then the second time I watched Ramirez, it was like, this dude could get cut. Like, it was like, what
What is
just
he
happened? He
swinging at? There's no
punched three
approach at the
times.
plate. Yeah.
Yeah, punches 3 times on bad pitches, overthrows his cut, and like up the line. It was just like, what is this guy doing? And then you go and watch him, and it's like, oh, you know what? Like, I could see like he's fun. So yeah. And then you always have to talk about Joe Stewart just because why not?
Friend of the show, Joe Stewart. Absolutely love talking with him.
Yes,
Yes. And we talked about this. There's potential with Joe. Like I want to see him get out of Tri City
big
and see what
kid.
he can do. I really do.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, we saw him at the end of spring get some big league looks, which was really great to see that as well. But let's move on to the fun here. The Angels down in double A, basically. I mean, this Rocket City's team's fun. They got 15 of my top 37 prospects on the list. Starting with pitchers, you go Sam Bachman, Coleman, Crow. Don't sleep on Brandon Dufault. I've heard he's been up to 98 before with a really good slider cutter. So there's another bullpen piece that might be in the mix there. Mason Erla, who I cannot praise enough about.
Love that guy.
Yeah, I think that is something. There is really something there. If you can find the command, there, it's all there. Colton Ingram was added to the 40 man. We've already talked about him. Friend of the show, Colton Ingram as well.
Yep.
Ben Joyce again, friend, weird friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Ben Joyce.
Great guy.
Do we have to talk about Ben Joyce? I mean, we really don't. Brett Carey's there.
I think everyone knows who that guy is.
Yeah, Zach Christofax there. Landon Marchot, there's supposedly some uptick in velo there. Same thing as Coleman Crow. Victor Medeiros, the guy we just talked about. I mean, that's my guy to be like that. He might be at the big league level at some point. Very
out of the pen. Like he's a guy who could easily sneak into the bullpen. Like we talked about issues with the bullpen.
Just keeps going on. This is ridiculous.
He could get there quick.
Yeah. I mean, just to finish
Soriano's there too, right?
Yep. Just to finish off the pitching list, you go Luke Murphy, Jose Soriano, Eric Torres, and Kenny Novan, who got a lot of looks, got the non-roster invite. And I think that's saying something. You got to keep an eye on Kenny Novan for sure there. You look at catchers, and continues Miles Emerson, who again, I know everybody's going to be keeping an eye on Edgar Caro, but Miles Emerson is probably my favorite catcher in the Angels system. Absolutely love what he does. He is the definition of a catcher. Not going to hit a lot for you, but he's the definition of catcher. Love what he does. Edgar Caro, obviously there. When you look at the infield, you go Jose Guzman, Jeremiah Jackson, Kevin Maetan, friend of the show,
one of your
Zach
favorites.
Neto. Yep. And then you can name the last two infielders because I know you want to talk
about one of my favorites, Kyron Paris. Kyron Paris, and you want me to name Tucker Flint?
There you go. Yeah. I mean,
I'm excited. Like to go get a JUCO kid and to watch him have good ABs in low A and then get all the way to double A in a half year. Like that's got to excite you a little bit. And then, I've been on the Kyron Paris train for a long time.
You know what you really got to tip the cap to there with the Tucker Flint thing? You know that he went to Maryland the year before, right?
Yes.
That's one of the most impressive. That's one of the cool things for me is seeing where guys came from. And seeing how they are scouted, because that's really on the Angels in the scouting staff there and Perry and honestly just everybody there. So yeah, real cool to see.
But can I say, to be fair, he was playing on a team with a first rounder, so like
it helps.
It was also pretty easy to scout that guy because it's like, oh, hey, we're here to see this guy, but whoa, this guy's good, and it's like, okay, that I'm not gonna tip the cap too heavily because that's not the hardest job in the world, but yeah. Kyron Paris, big fan of Kyron Paris. I think he's a lot better than you do, but we'll see.
I don't think that he's bad. I don't think that he's bad by any means, and that's not.
No, not that you think he's bad.
I think that he's a second baseman, and
I think he could play shortstop.
That's fine.
I think he could play shortstop, and I think he can hit enough. Like that's my thing. I think he will be able to hit enough to stick in the major leagues and to actually get playing time. And when I say actually playing time, I'm talking like 120 games played, not 35, 40. So I like Kyron Paris a lot.
Yeah. And then to round out the outfield, Ryan Aguilar, David Calabrese, the Canadian, dude, that kid's gonna be a lot of fun. He's 20 years old right now.
I know. I was gonna talk about him when you mentioned him because he made incredible strides last year. Like he got so much better.
First half.
Yes. He got so much better as the season went along. So I'm really excited to see what he does. He could be in that similar thing of Kyron Paris where it's like every single arm he sees is way older than him. So that's going to be fun to see how he does against the tougher competition. And you can keep going because I know your boy is probably the second to last guy you're going to name.
I mean, Orlando Martinez, Ryan Aguilar, and Bryce Teodosio there.
Yes.
As well. Bryce Teodosio, the best defender in the minor leagues, outfield wise. I cannot say it enough. I really like him. I don't know if he's going to hit for a lot. I think he's Levon Soto in the outfield. However, Levon Soto is also a major.
He's Brett Phillips.
That's fine. We're talking about major leaguers here, though. I mean, and the fact that you got him as an undrafted free agent, again, got to tip the cap. He's in Double A. He's playing fantastic baseball.
What year was that?
What 20 was it 2020? No, it was 2021, I believe. They got
okay. I was trying to remember if it was 20 or 21 because I was like,
out of Tennessee too, I think.
yes,
So nothing shabby there. The fact that he didn't get drafted too. I mean, I get the hit tool probably wasn't there for most, but the fact you don't draft somebody like that is very interesting to me. I mean, the size is there. We've seen the pure.
He's got power too.
Yeah, the power is there. I think he finished with 13, 15 home runs in Double-A, so definitely not shabby. You just got to find bat the ball a little bit more, and then let's finish off with Triple-A. I know there's a lot of guys here that we'll probably see in the major league level at some point. So Chris Davinsky, as I'm rolling down here, Chris Davinsky. We got dogs running all over the place in here. Jonathan Diaz, Justin Garza, Aaron Hernandez, Jonathan Holder, Jake Kalish, Luis Alito, Jake Lee, Evan Marshall, Gerardo Reyes, Kenny Rosenberg, Chase Silseth, Ryan Smith, Cesar Valdez, Cam Vio, Austin Warren, Jacob Webb, Zach Wise. Nothing crazy there. Catching wise, on the roster, Chris Molfetta, Anthony Mulrine, I love Anthony Mulrine, by the way, and Chad Wallach, big catcher guy here. And then Taylor Jones, Kevin Padlo, Preston Palmero, Levon Soto, Mikey Stefanik, Andrew Velasquez in the infield. And then the outfield, you be kind of fun outfield there. Jared Leva, Mickey Moniak, Trey Cabbage, big power guy there. We've got to keep an eye on him. Joe Adell and Jordan Adams is a surprise guy there. Nate, I don't know if you want to talk about him.
Oh yeah, I did, but I wanted to mention that Padlo and Adele left the yard tonight, which was nice to see. Jordan Adams, I know it's wind dated. It's a pretty easy night.
Padlo hit a 92.5 mile an hour exit velo home run.
He still hit it out of the yard, so you still got to put the ball in play, which is huge. I don't know what I can do. Yeah, Jordan Adams, huge fan. One of the best athletes, if not the best athlete in the Angels system. I think you could argue he is the best athlete in the Angels system. I know we talk about it all the time. Two-sport athlete. And you mentioned it today on Twitter. I think it was today on Twitter. You mentioned he could be one of those late bloomers, and it's funny you say late bloomer because he's really not that old. Like you mentioned Taylor Ward and I forget who the other.
Taylor Ward, Matt. That's all those guys who are that
kind of late bloomer ish.
Byron Buxton,
Jordan Adams. That's the comp that some people have given Jordan Adams is Byron Buxton. And if that's who you're getting out of it, I think you're super excited. But superstar athlete, still young. Like it's just so amazing that you think about him and you're like, oh, he's a late bloomer. It's like, oh, what is he? 25, 26? He's not even that old. So the fact that he's here, I think part of it, he was going to start in Double-A, but he just outperformed everyone's expectations in spring training. And they said, you know what, like this kid has earned a right to play in Triple-A. So I'm super excited for him. I think he's got a chance to take over in center field eventually if he can continue to develop as a hitter. But he is a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely. It's probably most upside in the Angels org as well when it comes to pure, athletic ability. You mentioned it, but again, could be an all-star at the major league level. It really could with how good this kid could be. So 23, we're going to turn 24 here fairly soon. So with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast here, Talking Halos. Hopefully you enjoy the minor league updates. Of course, you can follow myself on Twitter for all the minor league updates as well. Jared_Timms, Nate at NateGreen34. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.